Okay.
So you want me to start?
Uh, yes. Good morning, Director Peoples, and great to have you here at UCDC. I know you're a longtime member of our club, so if you can give us an opening statement and an overview of why you would like to run for re-election for the AC Transit Board at large.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Chris Peoples. I have represented you on the AC Transit Board for 27 years. And as Gabe said, I'm a longtime member of the El Cerrito Democratic Club. We changed our board structure a little bit, so I'm now running as a ward director in Ward 1, which is West County and the city of Alameda. But I still see myself as serving the same function on the AC Transit Board. I have been for over 20 years the lead director on our zero emission bus program. And I've also been a lead on making sure we focus on the folks who don't have cars, who are transit dependent. And that's hard because there are lots of other people out there. But as an elected, you have to make choices. I've also, since my early years on the board, have been very supportive of our making sure our relationships with our underlying jurisdictions are as strong as possible. For many years, that was a big problem. And we now have interagency liaison committees with most of our larger cities. And we are very active on the funding agencies like the West Contra Costa Transportation Advisory Committee. I've served as AC Transit's representative on that for about 10 years because both of my predecessors as Ward 1 directors had full-time jobs. And so couldn't go to daytime meetings, and I had the flexibility to do that. So I've done that, and I've represented all the bus agencies in Contra Costa County in front of the Contra Costa Transportation CC Transportation Authority, which hands out all the Measure J money and a good deal of state and federal money as well. So I want to continue doing that. I think I've still got a lot to contribute, and I'm the unofficial historian of AC Transit. So am quite happy to do that. And I can talk somewhat at length about our zero emission program, which is nationally and internationally known. But maybe I'll stop the introduction and let anybody who wants to ask questions. Gabe, you're muted.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Peoples. I have a question regarding consolidation. We look at the majority of transit agencies here in the Bay Area going through the financial cliff, and agencies that have huge deficits because they're not paying their unfunded liabilities, and they continue with big, large agencies. What have you done as a director to advocate for AC Transit to make sure you continue to have the funding needed as a viable agency? I know your agency, AC Transit, provides transit for the most neediest of West Contra Costa and Alameda County residents. So do you support the consolidation of our transit agencies? 27, I believe, is too much. Do you believe in the consolidation of at least the bus agencies together?
Absolutely not. It would be an absolute disaster. There are only two agencies where the underlying jurisdictions have provided support for the bus agencies. That's San Francisco, where they do it through general fund monies, and that's AC Transit, where we've done it with parcel taxes and getting a pretty good chunk of the sales taxes in both Alameda and Contra Costa counties. On top of that, there are very limited folks in the Bay Area, very limited jurisdictions in the Bay Area, and El Cerrito is one that support the kind of dense development that makes transit practicable. If everybody's got a quarter-acre lot with their own swimming pool and a car for every person over 16 in the household, you can't provide transit. The transit you provide is hour or 2 hour service. That's not transit. In America, we think 15-minute transit's pretty good. In Europe, 5-minute transit is pretty much the norm. When Teresa McMillan was visiting RATP and in Paris, they were going down to catch a train. They missed a train. She was wearing high heels and she was apologizing. And the person who was leading her around said, "Madam, the next train is in 90 seconds. That's real transit." So what would happen is that all these areas that are not willing to support transit, Solano County, Santa Clara County, anything except BART, would then be taking money away from those places who are willing to support transit. So no, I'm not in favor of consolidation. However, there are many aspects of what people talk about consolidation that have been on MTC, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission's plate for decades. It is crazy that if you go out to Walnut Creek, the signage to lead you to the buses that take you from the BART station to various places is completely different than what it is at Rockridge or what it is at Millbrae. That should be united in the whole Bay Area, and that's starting to happen. There's some consolidation of schedules that can work, and the general manager of AC Transit is in charge of the committee that's now been tasked for doing that for the whole region. I'm a really strong supporter of both Clipper and the Clipper Start program, so that you don't have to be fumbling around in your pocket for 50 cents. We're now at 250, so you're not fumbling around in your pocket for a couple of quarters for AC Transit and 3/4 for BART and 1/4 for CCTA. That's silly. You got a card, you can use it region wide. And finally, MTC has now got a program where they are doing the income verification so that low income folks can get a break. And for AC Transit, that break is 50%. Other agencies, it's somewhat less. So there's a lot that we can do. But some of the ideas for consolidation are quite unrealistic. Now, there are a whole bunch of tiny little agencies that probably should get absorbed into larger agencies. I mean, there's historical reasons why Union City Transit has its own transit, but Hayward and Fremont are both part of AC Transit. AC Transit buses go through Union City, and it's sort of silly that all that isn't managed by AC Transit. There's a number of other examples like that around the agency, around the area. But anyway, that's what I think. And I've spent 27 years. I've got holes in my knees from going to Sacramento and Washington begging for money. I've worked on the last 4 federal reauthorizations and spend a whole lot of time on that.
Thank you for that answer. My next question is, in a few years, we'll have the doubling of our senior population. I'll be part of that group, so I'll be joining you. So my question here, I know we lost the last, we had a bond measure for the Contra Costa side of AC Transit, and that failed miserably. And so we don't have the robust routes that we used to have. Many of our seniors live up in the hills. What is your solution to complementing BART and making sure our senior population and people with disabilities will be able to use AC Transit on the Contra Costa side? You look at our routes, it's a shell of what it used to be. And what's your solution on that?
Yeah, that's difficult. Let me first say that Measure X was not a bond issue, because what's needed is operational funding, and bonds aren't appropriate for operational funding. It was a continuation and expansion of the sales tax. And West County supported it quite robustly. It had its more than two-thirds in West County. The problem was that we didn't, it couldn't pass in the rest of the county. And I spent a whole lot of time on that. I mean, along with wearing out my knees in Sacramento and Washington, I've spent a whole lot of time both in Alameda County and Contra Costa County, working with the allies to try to get those taxes, those sales taxes, to be as positive for bus transit as possible. That being said, there is still robust service in the flatlands. We've got 3 different routes that run along San Pablo, giving about a 6-minute headway along San Pablo. We've got a number of other routes there. So that part of the issue is encouraging people to live in areas that are more conducive to bus transit. We need to get more service up in the hills. We've got some fairly well, we had some very nice short buses, the Van Hol 30-footers, which I think were the cutest buses we had. And those work pretty well up in the hills. The problem is the how diffuse everything is up in the hill makes it hard to have headways, and headways is the amount of time between subsequent buses that make people really comfortable with transit. You want to be able to walk out of your house and get on a bus. You don't want to have to make your schedule fit the bus schedule. The other aspect of that is for those of us who are in wheelchairs or find it difficult to use a fixed route bus, we have a pretty robust paratransit system. There are lots of things that can be done to improve that, and folks are working on that. If you ever have done computer stuff, you can remember back in the 60s, we did batch processing. You handed your computer cards to a white-robed attendant of the IBM, and he put them in, and you came back the next day and got your stuff. Nobody does that anymore. Everybody's got a laptop, a phone, whatever. We still do batch processing with paratransit. You've got to reserve the day before. Whereas with Lyft, Uber, all the rest of those folks, you call and you look at your phone and they say they'll be there in 5 minutes. We could do that with paratransit. Lots of technical issues as to how. But that's going to be another part of the solution for people with mobility difficulties.
Thank you. We're running, we have a time schedule, so I'd like to give you the opportunity to, on your final statement, and Director Peoples, very much appreciate you stepping up again and running for re-election. I just remember the days with working with you and Mayor Janet Abelson and
Yep.
looking after the neediest of our population. So why don't you give us your final statement?
Sure. Keep doing what you're doing. El Cerrito is a model for how to do development in a transit-oriented way. Now you're lucky. You got a couple of big BART stations. They got great big parking lots. That space that you can use for housing development. You've done a ton of housing development along San Pablo. That's great. But also on a political level, you, Janet Abelson, Paul Fedele, there are a number of people who have been leaders on the city side in the region to promote things like Measure X, to understand the importance of being able to fund transit and to do the kind of improvements on your streets that can speed up and make transit easier and more possible. All I can say is keep doing what you've been doing because it's great.
We have about a minute and a half. Is there anything you want to let our audience know about all the great green energy things that you have you have taken the lead on with AC Trans?
Sure. Let me make another comment. We're in the process of realigning all our routes and schedules. That process is called Realign. And Elsevier has been very good about officially writing letters to us. But if all the folks in the club are interested in that, you can go to actransit.org/realign and see what's going on there and make your comments. We have AC Transit has been one of the leaders in the world on zero emission transit. We finished about a year and a half ago a 2-year study comparing 5 different propulsion methods for buses that's now being used around the world. I have spoken in Europe and have been invited to speak in China on the stuff AC Transit is doing. We're doing both hydrogen fuel cells and battery electric, and we're leaders in the world on that. And I'll give you 19 seconds back.
Director Peoples, thank you so much, and thanks for being here. And I will kick this back to Jamin.